ymyfullpresentation is a nonprofit organization supporting affirmative consent in sexual relations. Back before the 90s, the social norm at the time was you made a pass at a girl or a guy, and if they said no, you tried again. And if they said no again, you might try again until they slapped you or kicked you in the family jewels. After that, from the 90s till about 2009, no means no became the cultural norm. Many states and universities based their laws and rules on this premise. A girl or guy would make a pass, and if their sexual partner didn't say no, it was meant it was okay and keep going. The trouble is this created a lot of confusion because consent was ambiguous. And if at some point a partner did say no, what did that mean? Don't go further, stop altogether, etc. Colleges and universities were put in the precarious position of having to decipher it all. Colleges and universities were sued over Title IX violations by various women's groups. They were sued by various men and men's groups if the men were thrown out of colleges or fraternities. 2010 to the present, yes means yes, otherwise known as affirmative consent, became the new cultural norm. Most colleges and universities across the country adopt this standard. Some states even pass laws adopting the standard. Some states even adopt laws for high school students, such as California. The trouble is, colleges and universities still have the problem of resolving the he said, she said issue. Though now the tide is swinging the other way. Without other proof, it is assumed that no consent was given. What exactly is affirmative consent? A person is now required to get an affirmative yes from a partner before sexual relations. The absence of a no is not enough. This can be done in several ways. A verbal yes. The trouble is it's hard to prove. You get into the same he said, she said issue. A written document. Except in rare cases, nobody is going to do it. Also, you've got privacy issues. This won't be anonymous. The modern way, via smartphone, is easy, always nearby, and can still be anonymous and private. Here's a map of the breakdown of states' various laws and rules. You can see California being the only one where it's signed by the governor and includes high schools. But many states are starting to adopt some form of affirmative consent. Why use Yes Means Yes app? College and high school students, and young adults in general, are rarely more than 10 feet from their phones at all times. They use social media and apps for various communications. They can use our app to quickly and easily consent or not in a less intrusive way than a contract, but more verifiable than a verbal agreement. And here's the important part. They can remain completely anonymous to their partners and to us if they wish, while still being able to prove whether they consented or not. The app can be used to prove to a school, organization, or law enforcement whether someone consented or not. The app can make a record of consents, non-consents, changes of minds, and sexual violation. All information in the app is completely secure and private and anonymous. Find some further information about our organization and app at ysmeansyes.org. There is the Affirmative Consent Project, which tries to combine all the various information out there about affirmative consent. Below is some links to some major legal cases that have happened recently, especially involving colleges, that could easily have been prevented. There's also quite a few state laws and bills, especially in California, happening recently, and you can follow those links to find more information. Time magazine did an article on the various problems with the yes means yes laws. And that this is one of the things that our app seeks to solve. President Joe Biden recently, on the Academy Awards actually, introduced itsonus.org, which is also working to prevent sexual assault and sexual violence. CNN recently did a show about the hunting ground, where basically they've said many men on college campuses are taking advantage of women, and the colleges were doing nothing about it. With something like our app, the colleges would have some proof or lack of proof to move on. Fox's Martha McCullum also did a special about the truth about sex in college, in which case the reverse was happening. That the colleges were listening to the victims and throwing the accused out without any actual proof one way or the other. Again, we seek a middle ground between here to bring verifiable consents to both sides. You can watch the trailers for both of these shows here. So why use our app? Simple, fast, easy to sign up and use. Takes less than 30 seconds. We're completely cross-platform. Android, iPhone, Windows, Mac, Linux, web, Chromebook. Basically anywhere you can get on the internet. Users can consent staying completely anonymous other than a nickname or username to each other. All records include an exact date timestamp and optionally location information. We're extremely secure and private. We keep no personally identifiable data. It's completely anonymous, only requires a user nickname and password. All our data is stored encrypted. All the passwords are well protected. All our web transactions are secure. Now the business end. We're cross-platform across any and all phones, websites, etc. We have patent-pending secure anonymous consent, which is able to verify users' consent without personally identifiable information. We are reaching a highly desirable, highly targeted user base. Generally 18 to 35, single adults. They're smartphone users, mostly college students or college graduates. They're sexually active, and they're socially conscious, which is why they would use our app in the first place. The target markets we plan to go after are colleges and college students. The large problem of sexual assault on campus. We can limit schools' liability and/or help educate students and give them evidence in their cases. The military also is having a large problem of sexual assault in the military right now. Again, we can help educate personnel and help the military's image concerning assaults, and give verifiable proof if necessary. And of course, in general, sexually active adults. We can limit legal actions against users, criminal and/or civil, if there's some record of consent or non-consent. Some of our target sponsors we are looking for, obviously universities. They're our main focus, and it's worth it for them to promote our app to help limit their liability under Title IX lawsuits and/or lawsuits from students whom they may take action against. Governments, the military, city, county, state, federal workers. We can educate them and/or limit these groups' liabilities. Organizations. We fit very well into something like Planned Parenthood, Now, It's On Us, or even the CDC. Organizations. Almost all of the major sports leagues have had sexual assault issues, sexual assault cases that their boards have had to decide, and we can give them a verifiable way to make these decisions and at the same time limit the league's liabilities. Obviously, we can always look for advertisers or sponsors. Trojans would be one example, Merck, J&J, Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, other sexually related manufacturers. Another one to target is something like dating sites. Match.com, Tinder, other dating sites. The tie-in would be perfect. You can get our app on our website or at Google Play or the Apple App Store. Go to our website and see a demo of the app in action and how it works. The main screen of the app, it's simple and quick. Show you your new username you're signed in with. Shows you who you've consented to and who's consented to you. You can consent, not consent, change your mind, or record a violation. Both you and your partner will be notified in the app whenever a consent or change of consent occurs. Yep, you just create a username or nickname, whatever you want to call it. You can optionally enter an email address. If you do, you'll be able to retrieve your list of consents. If you don't, you can remain completely anonymous, but you won't be able to retrieve your list without a legal order. And merely ask for your partner's username and enter it and click the submit button. Deny consent, merely enter your partner's username and click the submit on the deny consent. I do not consent. If at any time you change your mind, it's one button to click I change my mind and hit submit. But any time you feel you've been violated against your will, use the screen to immediately enter any and all details you can remember and click the submit. This will record a record of it, the date and time, etc., so that if you should need it in the future, you'll have it.